Welcome to Ask the Experts here on News Talk 1290 CJBK on this Saturday with a very special guest. Been looking forward to this for some time now. We've been talking to some guests from Ducks Unlimited Canada, but mostly from the province of Ontario. Well, we're going to take a little trip today on the program, which I always enjoy, to a different part of the country. And with that in mind, we welcome to the program Stuart Slattery. He is the National Manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada, and this program brought to you by Ducks Unlimited Canada, where you can visit their website, ducks.ca. And we welcome Stuart to the show. How are you, Stuart?
Great. How are you?
Excellent.
Thanks for the introduction.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know how busy you are, and maybe you can kind of paint a scene for our listeners, Stuart, in terms of where you are and maybe what it is that you do on a daily basis with Ducks Unlimited Canada.
Yep, sure. I am located at our head office in Manitoba, just north of Winnipeg, and that's at Okemic Marsh.
Okay.
And it's a restored marsh. It's not sort of a typical prairie marsh, which are many sort of small potholes and things like that. This is a really large marsh, about 3 kilometers wide and 8 kilometers long.
Wow.
And pretty awesome because like right now there's tens of thousands of birds here that are migrating through, and the colors are changing, and it's just kind of a inspirational thing to walk across the parking lot and see all this wildlife. It's pretty cool. And when I get into the office, I do a whole variety of things, like from mundane things like helping manage budgets and stuff like that, but also help facilitate research from the research group that we do, and also assist long-range planning and helping better understand where the science needs of Ducks Unlimited are and how to fill those needs.
My goodness. Stuart, when I asked you to paint a picture, I didn't think it was going to be so captivating, but that is your workplace. How fortunate. That is amazing to go to every day, I can imagine.
It is indeed, yeah. Like I said, it's very inspirational. It reminds you of all the hours that you put in, and the blood, sweat, and tears is really worth it. Just a daily reminder.
That is awesome.
Except for in wintertime. Nobody's here.
Now, how did that come? Was the marsh there, and did Ducks Unlimited acquire that land and then decide to build the headquarters right there? Is that, or how did it all come together?
The marsh was here originally. Like, this is part of a much larger area that got drained for agricultural purposes, and then I don't remember the time frame when it was restored, but it was restored for a period of many years ago, decades ago, and at some point in time there was agreement with the province that to create a wetland interpretive center that also would house the Ducks Unlimited headquarters.
Wow!
And so for some time now we've had this world-class interpretive center. They have programs that reach out within across Canada, and also north and south across various borders, and so we have this really great spot where we have kids coming in all the time, and then on one side of the building and the other side of the building we have a bunch of DU offices there.
That is
and,
awesome. So,
and the province has long-term commitment to helping make sure that works, and we recently renewed that contribution, or that agreement with them, and renamed it at the Larry Enns Wetland Center.
And so in normal circumstances or normal times, then you guys would actually do tours there at the headquarters?
There wouldn't necessarily be tours of the headquarters themselves, but there would be tours of, throughout the interpretive center, then also tours through the marsh and so on. And there's a tremendous amount of educational programs that are run through the interpretive center. That
is amazing. Stuart Slattery is with us here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290, CJBK, National Manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Again, and a great website too. I tell all of the listeners, ducks.ca, a lot of great information there. You can find out how you can contribute as well and help to conserve Canada's wetlands. Stuart, let's start from square one maybe. And when people ask you what Ducks Unlimited Canada is exactly, because we've all heard of Ducks Unlimited Canada, but maybe don't know exactly what you guys do and all of the fine folks that you work with Ducks Unlimited Canada, how do you describe where you work?
Where I work, or what my company does?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a pretty broad question because there's so many things that we do. But in a nutshell, Ducks Unlimited Canada is a habitat conservation organization. We work with various with landowners. We work with governments. We work with municipalities, the governments of all levels. We work with so many different organizations to help achieve common goals for habitat conservation. We do that through a variety of mechanisms, from helping establish protected areas to developing practices at the farm scale that are great for the environment and great for the farm itself. So we do things like that. We have worked with policy to help ensure that policies that are good for wetlands and waterfowl are in place, and especially for wetland retention and things like that. But at the same time, we make sure that all our efforts to conserve waterfowl habitat through the various means that we do it are backed with sound science, because we feel that science is the basis of making good decisions, and so we strive to always ensure that what we do is grounded in science and reliable information.
Why is the need there, Stuart, to study waterfowl and wetlands? What is the importance of that?
It's multifold. I mean, I guess that the first step is understanding, how the changes that are happening on the landscape, due to things that we do, how those influence the birds, and what does it mean for, their populations, and what does it mean for the habitat that supports them. That's kind of the first step, and that's really the foundation for developing the appropriate conservation measures for the challenges of the day. And that's really sort of the first step. And then the next step is about taking what we developed as a conservation program and assuring that it's actually having the effect that we think it does. And so our world is built upon information, and sometimes there's uncertainty, and those uncertainties we fill with assumptions at times, like we as humans. And good to test those assumptions from time to time. And so, we study waterfowl, we study wetlands because, we want to make sure that we're doing the right things in the right places at the right time.
Does some of your practices change then over the years in some situations, Stuart, when you've maybe learned a new sort of outcome to a certain situation?
Yep, for sure. Some of our work in the prairies, we conducted this giant study that, took 8 years and like 3,600 radio-marked female ducks, found 19,000. That's like a whole giant study. And in the end, after that work, we discontinued 4 of our programs. We refocused or expanded 2 programs, and we created a whole new one.
Wow. So you can sort of adapt to different scenarios then, if the need is there.
That's exactly right. As we learn more information, we adapt our programs to that information.
That is great. Stuart Slattery is with us here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290, CJBK, National Manager of the Research Arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Again, the website, ducks.ca. And I've said to some of the guests in the past, Stuart, from Ducks Unlimited Canada, what a great gift it is to get a membership, which is easy to do if you go to the website, ducks.ca. And I'm thinking, I can't help but think, for a younger person out there, it would be such a great educational gift. Do you see that happening from people? And it's a great way to give to such a great organization.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we do. And we see lots of involvement of youth, and we're trying to develop various wetland centers of excellence across the country to help promote the involvement of youth in wetland and waterfowl conservation.
That's awesome. And Stuart, you're in the prairies. You mentioned earlier you're at the headquarters in Manitoba. What would be the difference between wetlands, say, in your part of Canada compared to where we are right now in Ontario, in southwestern Ontario, to be precise, I guess? Right.
So, well, I mean, they're both set in many places agricultural contexts, but the wetlands in Prairie Canada are largely surrounded by open grasslands and some forests, but in Ontario, a lot of the wetlands there are more surrounded by forests.
Okay.
The inputs of water into those wetlands both come from running off the land, but the way that water flows into the wetlands in Ontario is greatly influenced by tile drainage, and that has implications for what the water carries with it and so on, and how much water gets there, and the quality of water that gets there. And so very similar in some ways. They're shallow places, wet places that lots of birds love, but they are more forested typically, but not always in the Ontario region compared to the prairies where they're wide open, more wide open.
And that's Very true, right? We've got more forests here than we hear about the wide open prairies, right? So, would the people who work and go? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a whole variety of sizes of wetlands in both places, and the different wetland sizes have fit different needs of the animals that use them at different times of the year.
Got it. Yep, makes sense. Stuart Slattery here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK. Now, I understand as well that you have some information about some wetlands that are being worked on right now here in this area. And if you don't mind, maybe you can find out from you what you're learning from those wetlands here in just south of London, I believe. But we'll find out exactly from our guest today here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK. We have Stuart Slattery. He is the National Manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. And again, check out the website ducks.ca. Here on Ask the Experts, we will return with more right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK with our guest Stuart Slattery with Ducks Unlimited Canada. And again, the website ducks.ca, and it's a great website, very educational as well for young folk or older folk. Check it out if you have a chance over the weekend, ducks.ca. And just before the break, Stuart, just mentioning that you've been studying 8 wetlands on farmland just south of London. What are some of the things that you're learning there?
Sure. Well, I guess maybe let's step back just a little bit and talk about what do wetlands do for people, and besides they providing a great place to live for many plants and animals. They take carbon out of the air, excess nutrients out of the water, and they retain floodwaters to reduce flooding and things like that. So there's a variety of what we call ecosystem services that wetlands provide society. And so the work that we're doing is focusing on one particular ecosystem service, and that's nutrient retention in the wetlands. And it's particularly focused on, helping understand the role of wetlands, and particularly wetland restoration, on the pollution issues associated with Lake Erie. Can wetlands be used to keep nutrients like phosphorus out of the water courses that eventually spill into Lake Erie? And so what we're finding is that, they are in fact really good nutrient sinks. So water flows into it containing many nutrients, and water that flows out of it contains a heck of a lot less nutrients than went into it. In particular, like say phosphorus, that's the one that we're most interested at this point in time. And we see what we call efficiencies of up to 92% retention. So 92% less phosphorus leaves those wetlands than went into those wetlands. And the average is closer to 50%, but it's still really, really high. So, this demonstrates that, these wetlands are really good for helping manage what we call non-point source pollution in the Lake Erie Basin. It means just things that are running off the agricultural landscape and things like that.
Got it. And you see that too, as you're saying that when you talk about runoff from some of the agricultural land, you can almost tell some of the waterways, especially ponds, it looks like something not natural in there. Is that doing some damage if it is runoff from farmland and stuff like that in some cases, Stuart?
Certainly the nutrients do make the wetlands more productive, but that's one of the benefits of the wetlands, that they're able to process those nutrients and help remove them, so that when rainwater comes and you get spill out, whatever else, it doesn't get into the systems. And so there's not a lot of damage per se.
Okay.
Yes, sometimes maybe if there's an overabundance of nutrients, that's not great. But we talk about wetlands being the kidneys of the landscape, and they're filtering the water to help clean the water, both for our drinking and for other issues like Lake Erie. And so certainly we see algal blooms and things like that, and those are the types of things that we're trying to help better understand how wetlands can reduce those problems.
How does some of the wetlands that you do research on and work on, Stuart, with Ducks Unlimited Canada, present itself to you? Do you go approach landowners, or do they oftentimes come to you?
When we're conducting studies, we have fairly strict criteria that we want for those wetlands in terms of where they are placed on the landscape, and what the inputs look like and so on, just so that when we analyze the data, we can control for a variety of factors that might influence the results.
Okay.
And so we want to be able to tease apart, various effects, and so we have very strict criteria. And then the staff in Ontario did a tremendous job in helping us identify wetland restorations that conform to those criteria. And then from there, we collectively approached the landowners, asked them if they would like to participate in the study, and some were willing to do that, and it's been a fantastic relationship since.
And it's not an imposition to them then, Stuart, to say a farm property that you approach the landowner. It's not going to be sort of an imposition to them in any way for the most part? And probably beneficial.
Yeah, it's for the most part. I don't think it's an imposition. I mean, what we do is we go out and we set up some instruments in the wetlands themselves, and those instruments record things like water flows and water levels and those types of things. And then we occasionally go out and we sample the water in the wetlands themselves too. And so there's not a lot of infrastructure that we put out there. There's not a lot big presence that we have out there at any point in time. It's very episodic. So I don't think it's a really big imposition.
Absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the farmlands that you're studying right now, the 8 ones that we spoke of earlier, and what you're finding there?
Well, some of the farmlands that we study, I mean, I'm not sure quite the question, but the wetlands. The wetlands are set in agricultural context, and so that there's a certain amount of runoff from those agricultural wetlands. And what we're trying to do is identify wetlands that have sort of very focused areas on them where the water goes into them. So we don't want them coming from all different places, because then we can't adequately measure the nutrients that are going into them.
Gotcha.
So we try to pick wetlands where the configuration of the landscape is such that there's only like 1 or 2 sources of where the water comes in, and then there's 1 or 2 sources of where the water comes out, so that's much easier to measure.
Gotcha. And are you manipulating the water flow in any way, Stuart, in these projects, if you know what I mean?
No.
These
are purely observational, just really dependent upon what the rainfall is in any particular year.
Got it.
So we're not making any changes. We're just trying to measure what goes in and what comes out, and go from there.
It is amazing the work that you do and your colleagues at Ducks Unlimited Canada. What would be the ramifications if some of these wetlands were not researched and were not tended to properly, Stuart? Is there anything that comes to mind that, if they were just left alone, could it be damaging in some respects?
They're left alone. I guess what's be more concerning is if these wetlands were removed.
Okay.
Because I mean, there is a lot of places in southern Ontario where the wetlands have already been removed, and that's concerning, because if these wetlands really do play an important role in helping pull nutrients out of the water that eventually ends up in Lake Erie, then the more you lose those wetlands, the less capacity it has. And really, what we're thinking about is more about putting those wetlands back on the landscape, so that places where they've been removed, we're gonna try to restore them. And so the studies that we're doing is helping provide the evidence that restoring wetlands is a really good natural solution to some of the challenges that Lake Erie faces.
Got it. Excellent. Makes sense. Stuart Slattery with us here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290. CJBK, National Manager of the Research Arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Again, check out the website, ducks.ca. You brought up science earlier on in the program, Stuart. Just wondering what kind of scientists would work at Ducks Unlimited Canada.
Yeah, we've got a whole range of expertise and staff here, from people who study basic waterfowl and wetland ecology, study biodiversity, study amphibians, study various ecosystem services, like we talked about in terms of carbon sequestration or floodwater retention or nutrient retention, general avian ecologists, landscape ecologists, people who are experts in conservation planning, and also statistics. So it's quite a varied and complementary skill set with a great group of really talented people.
And I guess then, if there are any questions that need answered, you guys are dealing with a very deep resource pool to draw on, are you not?
That's correct. Yeah. But we also part of our approach is not just doing all the work in-house by ourselves, but it's also working with other academics or other scientists from other organizations to help answer these questions, because we recognize that together we can do even more.
Absolutely. Stuart Slattery here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK. Our special guest today, he is the national manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Visit the website ducks.ca and you can do your part as well. And you can find out how you can be a member of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Very easy to do. But the first step is to check out the website ducks.ca. Here on Ask the Experts, we're back with more here with Stuart Slattery on News Talk 1290 CJBK right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK with our guest today, Stuart Slattery from Ducks Unlimited Canada. Stuart, if somebody approaches you and says, we really believe in Ducks Unlimited Canada and would like to do our part, whether it be financially or otherwise, what's the best way for somebody to help out Ducks Unlimited Canada? Are there some options for them out there?
Sure. There are a variety of options. I mean, there are various local chapters that hold fundraising events, and they could be involved that way. And so they can reach out to the local Ducks Unlimited office and find out, what chapter might be active in their area. So that's one thing they can do. They can also work with some of our fundraising staff, and there can be a variety of ways that they can contribute financially through time, either immediately or leaving some type of gift in their will or something like that. Mm-hmm. But also, if they are interested in helping spread the word more carefully and work with some of our staff, who are delivering conservation, helping with relationships with landowners and farmers, the opportunities there for folks to help us achieve conservation through various means.
And do you see some younger folk getting involved and want to make a difference, Stuart?
Yes, we do.
And that must be quite nice to see them getting involved at a young age. Excuse me.
Yes, it is it's really great to see. We're doing some things with our staff, and people are telling how did you get involved and whatever else, and some of them were involved at a very young age, and that had a huge influence on their career trajectory, and some of them ended up with Ducks Unlimited, and it's really kind of a neat thing to see folks that were in our youth programs transition from that to employees.
I bet, and I should have asked you this off the top, but what got you involved initially, Stuart, with Ducks Unlimited Canada?
That's a long story. But, I was certainly loved the outdoors as a kid, and wetlands were part of that, and I ended up going to undergraduate and sharpening my ideas of what I wanted to do with myself, and ultimately went to graduate school where I studied Arctic nesting geese. And during that time, I had interactions with Ducks Unlimited, and particularly with the Institute for Wetland and Waterfowl Research, and it was just clear it was a great place to work. The mission was great. It was aligned with my personal goals, and so I was fortunate when I was hired to be a scientist out in British Columbia at the time.
Wow, isn't that amazing? And they always say, right, if it's not work if it's something you love, and I'm guessing that you fall into that category, Stuart.
Yes, I do.
That is amazing. How fortunate. That is great. Stuart Slattery here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290. CJBK National Manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Ducks.ca is their website. Check it out and help out if you can. That is for sure. Ducks.ca. Goes by quick here, Stuart, and it certainly has when talking to you today. Just a minute left or so. I'll let you have the last word. Anything we've left out? Anything you want to get across to our listeners about Ducks Unlimited Canada?
Well, I mean, we've already hit upon that. It's a great organization to work for, and what we're trying to do is to me is an important thing, because wetlands are they help with climate change. They help with our pollution issues. They really play an important role in our lives, and I don't know that everybody knows how critical wetlands are to our health and our economic well-being.
It's something that a lot of people we take for granted, right? I mean, until you get educated, whether it's through a program like this or even as simply as just going to your website. I mean, it's something that a lot of folks take for granted.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent. Well,
Sure.
let's try to change that narrative, and hopefully we've done our little part here today on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK. Our guest has been Stuart Slattery, National Manager of the research arm of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Again, ducks.ca. Stuart, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the program today, and have yourself a great day, and best of luck with everything at Ducks Unlimited Canada, my friend.
Thanks. You too, Ryan. Take care.
You're very welcome. That is Stuart Slattery here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290 CJBK from Ducks Unlimited Canada. Check out the website ducks.ca. Stay tuned. We're back with more here on News Talk 1290 right after these.